Since I've sold both my Dura Ace group sets, before I made this review, I decided to again stick to my first bike. This is my first ever road bike, which I got around 2 years ago. It's owned by one of my friends now, but it still has the Dura Ace 9070 group set on it. So let's walk you through this one. It's by now it's a bit of a classic, really. The hood shapes are really comfortable, really ergonomic. Although the rubber is quite thin, much thinner than the old Tegra, but my hands are not really sensitive to that, so it's not a problem. What the Dura Ace shifters have versus the old Tegras is this hidden button. It's not really visible from here, but with this one you can sort the pages on your Garmin, which is quite a useful feature if you run multiple screens there. I recently started riding SRAM Red E-Tap, so maybe this will be a bit of a comparison. Dura Ace, or Di2 in general, got a little bit of criticism for its shift levers. This one is for the downshift, this is for the upshift. They are really quite small, and at first, when you first ride a bike like this, they are quite difficult to distinguish. But it's okay when you get used to it, until you start riding in winter in thick gloves. Then it gets a bit tricky. What I don't like about these levers is the reach can't really be adjusted as much as the SRAM version, but otherwise no critics here. Gloss finish, maybe it doesn't suit every bike. Now let's get into the brakes. This is the classic dual pivot Dura Ace caliper, which is excellent. You can micro adjust it on the fly like this. It's really light, it has excellent modulation and good stopping power. It's actually one of the best brakes on the market. On my older Monda I have used the direct mount version, which is even lighter and even better in terms of brake performance. But this is also excellent. This is the classic version. Then let's get to the wiring. This generation and also the new upcoming one uses Shimano's E-tube system, which means that every wire is basically same and they are interchangeable, so you don't have separate wires for everything, every part of the system like they used to, which is a really good thing. Although this junction box here makes really a mess on a lot of bikes, like in this one. It's not hidden, you can't really do anything about it. It just doesn't look as neat as it possibly could. This also handles the charging. There are two versions basically, a 3-port and a 5-port. You only really need a 5-port version if you have Madone 9, because it has proprietary cabling, or if you run a TT bike with aero bar shifters. Now, one of the great advantages, mainly on TT bikes but also on road bikes, is that you can have multiple shifting positions. Shimano sells a climb switch and a sprinter switch. I haven't used any of those because I found that I ride most of the time on the hood, so I don't need a climb switch. And when I ride the drops, I can just reach the standard levers, so I didn't really need them. When you press one of the levers, a bit longer, then you get a battery indication, which is a nice feature. The battery itself on this bike is located in the seat post. It's the internal version, but there are externals as well that don't look nearly as neat. The charging procedure is easy. You just pop a cable on the side of the junction box and you charge it with a small charger. One issue I have found that it happens when you leave the charger overnight plugged into the system, then it can drain your battery. It charges it up fully and then it just drains it completely. I don't really understand that. So I had two of these. I have two instances of this happening, which meant that I couldn't ride my bike when I wanted to. So afterwards I always made sure that I only plugged it in as long as it was charging. Okay, so that's for the battery. The rear brake is basically the same as the front one. The front mech, maybe the biggest difference between mechanical and electronical shifting is in the front shifting. SRAM uses the yaw system, which doesn't need trimming, but if you use Dura Ace mechanical or any other Shimano mechanical system, then you have basically 4 trim positions. On the Di2 version, these positions are selected automatically based on the gear selected on the cassette, so you don't need to worry about that, just up and down and the system sorts itself. Shimano used quite a special design for the crank because it has an integrated spider, so you have no separate arms and separate spider and chain rings on top of that. You just have basically the crank with a spider in it, and you put the chain rings on. The cranks themselves, well, they are quite stiff and also have a really nice finish. The downsides to the spiderless design is that you can't fit spider-based power meters, which I think are the best. You can fit stages to the left crank if you want, but that of course isn't the best solution nowadays. Another good positive to this spiderless design is that you can have any changing size you want. You don't have compact and standard like on every other system. You just have the same bolt circle for a 55, 53, 52, 50. One crank will accept all the possibilities of gearing. So that's really nice. Then this is also a Dura Ace chain, which I've found that it lasts quite long. It's not really noisy, good overall. And then the rear mech, it's quite sturdy. I crashed mine 2 times and it survived without any damage. Basically no problem at the shifting part. The rear shifts are extremely quick in Di2. You can also adjust the speed and how fast the multi-shifts are happening. You have a lot of adjustability through the EQ system and diagnostics, which are a part of the system. You can adjust the function of the different levers and so on. One little flaw I have found on my Madone is that it's not basically a problem of the derailleur, but it has quite a light chain tension, so I got a lot of chain slap on my bike. It's not a problem on this bike because there's much more clearance for the chain, but it wasn't so good in the Madone. So overall, a classic, nice Also quite light group set. Extremely good shifting, really fast in the back, easy shifting on the front, though maybe not as good as the SRAM, but it's quite hard to compare really. You can't go wrong with any of them. But this is sure to be a proven performer. Excellent quality, reliability, nice finish. Originally I wanted to upgrade to the new Dura Ace, which is coming up next spring, but I hate the looks. I think they are hideous, much worse than this class finish, so I decided to stick with SRAM.